Yeah. So ketogenic diet's really, really good if you have the discipline to pull it off. I did a ketogenic diet for 2 months. I didn't feel that great. Come to find out, my liver was a bit stressed, and so I was having a hard time processing fat. And so as a result, I didn't feel as good. So I keep my carbs at 70 grams. I found that with my body, that's where I function best. 100 is kind of the high point when you're doing this program, because you don't want to continue to say, well, I'm eating in 8 hours, but I'm eating 200 grams of carbohydrates in 2 months. You want to be like, well, 200 grams of carbohydrates is a lot. That's a lot of fat being developed right there. So we don't want to do that. So once again, is month 1, eat your regular food, get a rhythm going. Month 2, you start to say, what can I clean up? In month 2 and 3, you can do this. You start to look at lifestyle habits. What's my hydration like? Do I take supplements? The major issue with ketogenic diets and major issues with intermittent fasting is detoxification. Not only does the body store energy in fat, it stores toxins in fat. So it's often very important to do things that pull your toxins out of your body, whether it's taking pectin or whether it's I take activated charcoal. I know you take activated charcoal because it helps pull the toxins out of your body, and as a result, when you start liberating fat tissue, you have the benefit of having high energy, but you also have the negative benefit of actually removing and liberating toxins into your bloodstream. So it's really important to pull that out. So when anybody starts to do a intermittent fasting protocol, I always recommend, currently I like activated charcoal because I think it's easy to do. You take a teaspoon, you put in 32 ounces of water, you drink it 3 days in a row or every other day, and that's it. So you don't have to do this like hardcore cleanse and take like a million supplements. It's very simple to do. But when you start intermittent fasting, your body's going to liberate those toxins, and as a result, they're going to be circulating. And you have to pull them out of your body, in my opinion, because circulating toxins are not good, right? And they store themselves somewhere if you can't get them out of your body, okay? So that
pectin or charcoal?
Pectin's really good because it'll basically remove everything from your digestive tract. Activated charcoal is really good because it does actually cause your liver and the blood from the intestinal tract to actually dump it in there when it actually passes through. So that's really good to do, and I can send everybody a link on the stuff that was recommended to me. It is on Amazon, so if anybody's anti-Amazon, sorry. But it is on Amazon and it is free Prime delivery. So I'll tell you that, if that helps at all. So what else was I going to say? So people with deficiencies in their body, so if you have a deficiency of some sort, whether it's a micronutrient or say if you were maybe diagnosed as insulin resistant, it's a little bit more difficult to get this rhythm going. So sometimes supplements help, like to help break down your food, like digestive enzymes. Those things may help, but they're not required. You just got to kind of try it in your first month, and then I don't feel as good as I expected to, or I feel a little tired, or I feel amazing. Great, let's roll with it. Working out in a fasted state is the best way to build health because you immediately, your body goes, ketones, I'm going to actually use those and I'm going to burn more fat. So it maximizes your results. But you have to, once again, eat in that 30-minute window afterwards. If not, you can get a little bit wily and your body releases cortisol, and we don't want that, okay? It has an inhibitory effect to what the goal is, so it causes inflammation. What else was I going to mention? Ketogenic, got that. 70 to 100 grams of carbs is really good. Now, who can't fast and do intermittent fasting? There is a group of people here. If you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, if you're type 1 diabetic, you cannot do intermittent fasting on your own on a type 1 diabetic. You have to be under the care of a professional because you're already having blood sugar issues and you don't have the normal insulin response. So it's very difficult for people to do that. Really, for those 3 groups, you just want to fuel your body and make sure that you're, as a mom, producing enough healthy breast milk to breastfeed your child, either to build a child, or for the people that have no pancreatic response, you want to make sure that you don't cause your blood sugars to go all over the place. For those that do heavy lifting, it's the same recommendations. Your growth hormone's going up, so as a result, you're breaking down and repairing at a faster rate. So there's no changes to your lifestyle besides the window of time, and then eventually the quality of the food. Those are the only 2 things. Versus programs that we've offered in the past and thought were healthy, and then come to find out 10 years later, well, they were healthy, but they were difficult to follow. They were non-sustainable. Growing kids, they can also do this, but you want to cap them at about 12 hours. Why would that be? because they're developing. We've developed. And granted, we're going to be healing and doing lots of things, but kids, you don't want to do that. So generally, 13 and above, you can do that. Any young kids, just fuel them with healthy food. Right? Can you imagine telling her she can't eat till 11 o'clock? It'd be like, whoa, time out. So it's just not worth it. Okay. Are there any questions so far? We're about to wrap up. Yes, go for it.
How many teaspoons was it for 32 ounces of water with that?
One teaspoon. Yeah, on the label it says up to 3. The problem is you end up with digestive issues and constipation when you take too much activated charcoal. And so once again is looking at it, if you detoxify over 5 months versus an intense 1 month, you get better results, right? Because your body's constantly evolving. It's going to deeper layers of fat, so you want to be constantly detoxifying. Question?
We already eat whole foods and
Yeah.
salads and vegetables and all that stuff. So I make a breakfast, a snack in the middle, lunch, and then medium dinner. Am I supposed to eat all that within those 8 hours?
Yeah, exactly the same. Yep, and then really what you want to do is high fats, right? We were told years ago, don't do it. Well, the more fat you eat, the more your body actually utilizes it, and it doesn't store it as fat. It utilizes it. Good fats, yeah. Yeah, like avocado, really red meat with a decent amount of fat on, it's good for you in this phase, right? So if I had a heart condition or a blood condition, I might not do that.
I can eat bacon.
You can eat tons. So a ketogenic diet, like if you decide to follow that and you're like, I do want to keep, is 4 pieces of bacon, 3 eggs with ghee butter. That's the breakfast. And so it's like, that's the breakfast. This one gentleman who writes a lot about intermittent fasting, that's his breakfast. And then an hour later, he has a protein drink. An example would be as a protein bomb is, this is what I do at my house, is I have heavy whipping cream, a 1/4 cup. Then I do hemp milk. Then I do coconut milk. Then I do a protein powder, maca powder. And then I do bananas and fruit, just like a 1/2 cup of that. And then what else do I do? Medicinal mushrooms to help detoxify the body. And then I blend it all up in my Vitamix, and then I fill it up so it turns into 32 ounces. And I drink that all at, like, as soon as I get done in the office at 11, that's the first thing that I generally drink half of. Because once again, is you want to fuel your body with high proteins and a decent amount of fat, and that's where you get from the coconut and the heavy whipping cream. So people that are dairy intolerant, it's harder to do, right? But you can still do it. Nut butters are really good versus you can have hemp milk, nut butters, coconut milk, and the same everything else. You just remove the heavy whipping cream. It's the exact same thing and no dairy.
So a question regarding the dairy and rheumatoid arthritis.
Right.
I understand that you should avoid dairy for that reason.
They believe you should avoid dairy, but there's no data on heavy whipping cream, and there's no data on raw dairy. Well, the raw dairy shows that it actually decreases the RA response. So if you can find raw dairy, we used to have one here in town, but raw dairy does not have that. And if you read Weston Price stuff on raw milk, and the research they've done is they believe that that's actually inaccurate. It's when you have milk that's been processed and they've removed some of the enzymes and they have to pasteurize it, that's when it changes the shape and the form of all the proteins. And as a result, it causes inflammation in the body. Now, I like dairy, and I'm slightly dairy sensitive, but I'm not with raw dairy and I'm not with heavy whipping cream, but I am if I have milk or ice cream.
So organic isn't good enough because it's pasteurized.
Correct. In functional medicine and Western Price, correct, 100%.
So are you talking about brands?
No, functional medicine is how they look at rheumatoid arthritis. It's a way to address it. And Weston Price is a different group that uses their foods versus supplements to build health. Weston Price, yeah. Yeah, they're like, for example, all their supplements are whole foods versus synthetic. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, I want to tell you a couple more things about some of the upcoming classes we have, because every other week we're doing a class. Not this week, but May 9th, Dr. Colin and I are doing a class on foundation training, which is core training, understanding what your core is. This is not your core, right? Your core is actually from your temporalis muscle to the bottom of your knee. And so understanding how to fire them, where you can have a weak temporalis muscle and it can cause your core to be weak. So ways to actually fire them together, and he's going to do a lot of work on that. I just get to listen. And then nutritional mastery and detoxification. So with the nutritional mastery, we're just going to talk about qualities of food. And I say just, but then we're going to be talking about simple detoxification protocols that people can implement, that they can do throughout a year's period of time and create a system for people, because everybody's physically stressed at times, emotionally stressed, and we're exposed to a lot of toxins, whether we know it or not. So it's really important to continue to work on detoxifying. We're doing a supplement class on June 6th, where basically we're going to go through, for people that are quote unquote normally healthy, their nutrient profile determines their supplement needs. So we're going to talk about what are the supplements that, say, the average American diet, the SAD diet, we call the standard American diet, would require just to maintain health. And for those people who have made healthy habit choices, what are some ways that you can support your body more effectively, like with micronutrients? And those are little things that you can do that really build your health, because most of the food we have are micronutrient deficient, even though it's healthy and organic. The soils have been depleted a bit, and then also we don't get bacteria the same way we do. So we talk about some of the bacterial needs. And then the next one will be hydration, which is understanding what water is and what it does for us. And then everybody needs, if they have tap water at their house, a water filtration system of some sort. Okay, and so the old days are gone. If you look at what happened in Flint, Michigan, it's happening all over the world. And it's the fact that the pipe and the infrastructures are not there anymore. So as a result, stuff does get leached into our water. I'm lucky enough to have a well at my house, so that's our blessing. But ultimately, is the water in the office is all reverse osmosis filtered, just because we don't want to offer that to our people, but also the fact that you need to filter your water on some way. And so we're going to talk about different stages of filtration, and then what's cost effective versus what's over the top. Okay, in our office, we went over the top, and I learned a lot about it afterwards. So I would recommend not doing what we did, but it's an amazing system. But there's a lot of really inexpensive options that really save your health over time. So those will be the next 4 classes we do, and then we do in July, we're doing the alternative methods to cancer treatment classes that will be addressing and doing all the alternative treatments and modalities for that. Are there any questions? Okay, my recording's done. All right, thanks for everybody coming. If you have questions, feel free to email me. You can write down my personal email, and then you can always email me and I respond that way. It's I'm going to give you, what's my email again? Oh, Chiro. It's CHIROSL1998@gmail. Since this office is a chiropractic office, we try to keep a lot of the nutrition stuff outside of adjusting hours so we can focus on neurologic health first, okay? Question? CHIROSL1998@gmail. Wow, that was 45 minutes. That was good. The cheat sheet helped big time, I'll tell you that. People used to just start